It's Pete from Record again. Following on from the video I did with the SC1, new mini chuck, and a little bit of a few maintenance tips. I'm going to follow up now with the SC2. So, difference being on these, this is a direct thread chuck, a slightly bigger OD and open geared at the back. And like I say, with a direct thread, but you've also got the grub screw on the side to lock up when you're on your spindle. So if you're doing your reverse mode, sanding, etc., you can lock the chuck off so it's nice and safe on there. And much like the SC1, the jaws are interchangeable between the chucks. So basically, following on from a series of chucks, the SC4, SC3, SC4 with the insert, same as that one, so those can be used together. Or, like this one, same as the SC3, a direct thread. So we do M33, inch 8 and 3/4 16. So what I'm going to do is, I've been using this just for doing some pens. So got the two jaws on there. I'll just give it a little clean out. I haven't had it very long, so it's not had a lot of usage, but it always pays to keep your chucks nice and clean if you can do it. So first of all, I'm just going to drop these jaws off. And the same as the other chucks, your top jaws are obviously numbered 1 to 4, and your base jaws again are numbered. And on this one again, it's reading 1, 2, 3, 4 from the logo at the front. So anti-clockwise 1, 2, 3, 4. So that helps you when you put it back together again. I'll take out the screw as well for pinching up on the spindle. Right, so if I close these off, and another tip that might help you is the same as the other jaws, because I had the pen jaws fitted. If I go back to the standard jaws, and this is only to help on the assembly, it might just come in a little bit useful to put it all back together again. And just put these roughly in place. Because one thing with small chucks, and this is a really nice small little chuck, but all your parts are small. So what I'll do there is just bring the jaws in just to do the kiss test, pinch some screws up, go to the underside of the chuck now, get some of this dust off it, and mark off one of the faces. So I've got the opposing hole there, and I've got my the ring that I'm going to take out. So if I just mark that, and then mark into one of the teeth, it just gives me a rough guide to when I put it back on again. And try not to wipe all that off when I'm doing the cleaning out of it. So again, go back to the chuck, take it down to the kiss test, and then and then just take it back. And the kiss test, we just say, it says all your jaws just conform together and it's nice. Then you can lock up your screws and it just keeps it a little bit more accurate. So just back it off a little bit. And what I want to do, I've got some straight circular pliers, is try and take this out in one go. That's not always going to happen. What probably will happen is it'll take you 2 or 3 times. So what I can do now is to turn that over and just tap out the ring. First of all, I just want to give it a quick clean off. Get some of the dust off it. And then just check it over to see what it feels like. If I've got any rough edges on there. That's the point where I marked with my felt pen. So that tuft there. So if I just give that a mark, it should help me when I put it back together again. And this is this file I've got is a really smooth file. I've had it for donkey's years. It served me well over the years, but it's got hardly. There's no real coarseness to it. It's just really smooth. You can do the same with a stone. It's easier for me because it's got the handle on and everything. But a nice oil stone will also do the same sort of job. And just feel around it. So this is relatively newish, so a couple of years, something like that. So just a bit of wet and dry, a bit of oil on it, just to clean the base off. And what I can do is the face as well, just to make it all nice and smooth. Not totally necessary, like I say, a stone will do the same sort of job as well. But what I want to do is just check the actual teeth themselves and see if I've got any bits of debris in there, bits of dust. Pretty good. What you do get when your gears are going around, you just bury a bit into the bottom. But otherwise it's not too bad. Then check the back as well. I've got a little bit more in there. I'll probably put that in when I just get it all out. Okay. So I'll give that a quick spray. I'm using this tissue. I carry this around with me all the time because if I'm cleaning machines down on site at the dealers or something, I've always got a good roll of this around. So if I'm setting up, it just makes it easier. But what you can use is just a bit of rag or something like that. Right, so I'm going to drop the jaws off now and get my base jaws out. give those a clean in a minute. I just want to check this out. Give it a little bit of a clean off inside. Get rid of some of the dust first. That's good. It's pretty good. I'll give it a swill in a sec. I've got myself a little honing stone. Again, all I'm going to do is just rub it along where the jaws slide. Make them nice and smooth. Can't really feel any burrs, but this is not going to take any material out. It's just a little polish really. If anything, it's just going to take the bits of dust, and if you've got a bit of resin on there or anything like that, it's just going to fetch that out. Just give it a check over. Can't feel any rough edges or anything. Right, give it a little bit of spray. Just help to wash anything out. Let's have a look at my base jaws. Again, just going to use this little stone on here. I'm just going to do the slides just to clean them off more than anything again. Do the faces. But just if you use something really smooth like that, or even if you've got, I've got a little tough brush I use to clean them out anyway. If you've got a little wire brush or something to do that as well. Or a little bit of wet and dry, just a gentle little rub on there. Just make them all nice and clean and smooth. Just on the bottom of the scroll there, I'm just going to give that a little rub over. Just to smooth everything off, just polishing it really. Like I say, I'm not taking anything off the actual sizing. These are hardened jaws anyway, so. Give them a swirl through. If you do this and leave them a little bit, most of this WD-40, like I say, will just evaporate off anyway. At this stage I'm only using something like this just to basically as a cleaner. check in there. So it's a little bit wet, so ideally it's best if you leave them for a little while. But it'll do what we want anyway. Again with the scroll, if you get a bit of tissue and start at the scroll, just push it in. Or just wipe it clean inside. So it'll naturally drag any bits of muck out with it. You can see that was just the little bits on there, not much. Yeah, it's pretty good. Right, so now we can look at putting it back together again. Pretty clean. This is the fiddly part with these little bits and pieces, but it's worth doing, and it's worth the odd attempt at putting it all back together again. I've done a few of these over there, and sometimes I go in first time, sometimes it's 2 or 3 times, but it came apart, it'll go back together again. What I want is a little bit of oil, just a general bit of oil. Not much of this at all. What I don't want to do is, ideally this should have been more drier, but what I want it to be is free from the cleaner that I've used, and a little bit of oil. I don't want to overload it with oil or any type of grease in there really, because it'll, more of the dust and the chippings is just going to stick to that, and then you'll just carry it through, then it'll start binding up and you have to clean it down again. So a little bit of that. So first off, let's get them in order. 4, 2, 1, and 3. So number 1, and I just like basically a smidgen of this. My jaws are still positive, I've got no slack in them. Nice and clean. And just put a little bit on. So again, I'm starting from the logo, so I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4. Spread a little bit of that about. Final one. Okay. So what may, like I say, help you here is to use your standard jaws that come with the chuck. And I'm only going to put in 4 of the screws. Well, just to give them a little bit of a, just over first. So 4, 2, 1, and 3. So I'm just putting them back in order as they are. So this is where the fiddly bit starts. So what I want to try and do is obviously turn this over, but I've got the jaws just touching against each other, and you can feel the roundness on the outside of it. So I'm going to turn it over, find roughly the spot where I marked it, which is there, and then hopefully find the tuff that I marked. So then should have made a better job of marking the tuff. Cleaned off the felt anyway. So here, if we wind it back and take it forward, should start taking it on. Just try it from the other side. Okay. So if I turn that over now, put my finger in the opposing hole, just be careful when you do it. So I've got the key in there, that in there. So I'll pinch down to the jaws, and then what I want to do is back it off, keeping my finger in place on there. So all I'm doing really is just supporting the ring on the other side, so as it just doesn't twist. And what I want that to do now is come out to a stop. Like so. Jaws are fixed, they're not going to fall out. Then back in again. Until I do my kiss, so the jaws meet again. Okay, so that's back together again. And then final parts is to put my circlip back in again. And this I think is the hardest part of the whole operation. if you damage these, they're readily available, because what you can do with these sometimes, if they can twist a little bit. Sometimes you can just correct it because it's basically spring steel anyway. But if you do have a problem, we've got these sort of things in stock, and also you can pick these up at decent sort of hardware stores and places like that. But individually, it might be more of a sort of problem, but we do have these in stock. And also, if you have trouble with the chuck putting it back together again, we've sort of given you some tips how to do it. Don't worry about it. Give us a call if you want to. Worst scenario is you can't do it. You may need to send it to us or something like that. But if anything comes apart, it'll go back together again. So all I want to do is push that on now. What I should have done is got myself a screwdriver, probably a smaller one than this, just as I go down equally. If I move that out the way now, this should click in space, in place. There you go, bang. So we're A-OK. So down to lock, open up. And we always have on our jaws, they come to a stop, they don't come out, and more in mind with safety with them, because if you have the chuck running on your lathe, what it could happen is it could throw your jaws out. And lastly, I just need to remember to put the grub screw with it, more cool the case I don't lose it. So that's our little chuck series done. Hopefully that's some use to you. If you have any other ideas of what you would like us to do, we have got some suggestions off people. One of them was the maxi, which we've got in the works at the moment, ready to do for a project. And we're also going to do some on some other machines as well, the Envoy, Regent and the Herald, as a strip down and build as a customer. We've had them delivered to them. So that's a project that's ongoing, so we should follow that shortly. But again, if you do have any ideas, we're really welcome to try and help you the best we can. So send them through. See you soon. Cheers. Bye for now.